Welcome to the first episode of this podcast, where we explore the complex world of grapes. Yes, you heard right, grapes. I'm your host, Alice, and today we are exploring everything about these tiny, juicy wonders that have played a significant role in human history and culture, to even the economy and politics surrounding this humble fruit. So, grab a bunch and let's get started. Let's start with the history of grapes. Did you know that grapes have been cultivated for thousands of years, dating back to ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans, where the earliest evidence of grape cultivation can be traced back to around 6000 BC in what is now modern-day Georgia. Grapes have been depicted in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and were even mentioned in the Bible. From the vineyards of Mesopotamia to the wine regions of France, grapes have been a staple crop for civilizations throughout history, where grapes were not only consumed fresh, but also fermented into wine, a practice that still continues to this day. In fact, did you know that the oldest winery discovered so far dates back to 4100 BC in Armenia? Now, that's some serious grape history. This makes wine grapes one of the world's oldest cultivated fruits. There are now more than 10,000 different varieties of grapes, which are now grown worldwide across many different terrains and a range of different climates. Each variety has its own unique characteristics, from flavor profiles to growing conditions. But only 10 of these are the most popular grape varieties. Imagine that. So grapes are not only delicious, they're big business. The global grape industry is worth billions of dollars, with grapes being used for everything from fresh fruit to wine production. In fact, wine made from grapes is one of the oldest and most widely consumed alcoholic beverages in the world. Now, if you're wondering how many countries grow grapes, you should know that in 2021, 93 countries produced fresh grapes, and the top 10 of these producers account for 70% of the world total. China is by far the leading producer of grapes, with 15.6 million tons, followed by Italy with 8.1 million tons, and France with 6.2 million tons. The colors of grapes can range from crimson to black, dark blue, yellow, green, orange, and pink. White grapes were derived from purple grapes through the extraordinary process of evolution more than 3,500 years ago, but they are actually green in color without any of the purple-colored pigments. Grapes are produced for four main reasons. Table grapes, which are grown to be consumed while fresh. Dried grapes, which are grown to produce raisins. Juice grape, which are for producing beverages, jams, and marmalade. Also vinegar. And wine grape, which are grown to produce wine. Table grape production increased by 3% in 2022 compared to 2021, reaching a volume of 31.5 million tons. The top 10 producing countries are China, which accounts for 40% of the world production, followed by India, Turkey, Egypt, Iran, Uzbekistan, Italy, United States, Brazil, and finally Peru. Asia is the most important continent for table grape production, surpassing all others. In fact, more than half of the table grape production is concentrated in Asia. Europe, with a few exceptions, specializes mainly in the cultivation of wine grapes, which leads us into discussing the economy of grapes, since every year 7.2 trillion gallons of wine are produced, which makes grapes not only a stable crop in many agricultural regions, but also a major player in global trade. Now, what is the economic significance of grapes, you may ask? Well, grapes are not only a popular fruit, but also a major agricultural commodity, from vineyards in France producing fine wines to table grapes grown in California's Central Valley. The grape industry contributes billions of dollars to the global economy. How much, you may wonder? Well, the grapes market size is estimated to be just over 215 billion in 2024 and is expected to reach 303 billion US dollars by 2029, making grapes rank as the 328th most traded product at a total of 11 billion, which is just 0.053% of total world trade. And let's not forget about raisins, grape juice, and other grape-derived products that grace our shelves and tables. But grapes aren't just about economics, they also have a political side. Yes, I know, politics and grapes may not seem like an obvious pairing, but grapes have played a role in political history too. From the vineyards of ancient Rome, where wine was used as a form of currency, to the modern controversies surrounding grape farming and labor rights, grapes have been intertwined with politics throughout the ages. Take, for example, the European Union's Common Agricultural Policy, which has had a significant impact on grape growers and wine producers across Europe. And let's not forget about the politics surrounding wine labeling laws and international trade agreements. Who knew grapes could be so politically charged? For example, the components of a wine label should include details such as the country and region, but sometimes the producer may choose to display the wine region instead. Details also include the name and a producer and the variety of grape, But if the information is not provided, it can be because the producer used a blend of more than one grape. Details such as whether it is a vintage or non-vintage can vary from year to year depending on weather and soil conditions, and most important, the quality of the harvest. Of course, details about the alcohol level must be included. Fun fact is that grapes that are grown in warmer climates ripen quicker than grapes grown in cooler regions, and producers are expected to retain some acidity and balance. Wine labels must also include sulfites as an ingredient, since most producers use them. We will just never know how much sulfites they use, since this can range from more than 10 milligrams per liter to a lot. And finally, sweetness. Wine labels can include details of sweetness where nearly all red wines are dry, which means the sugar in the grape juice were completely transformed into alcohol, leaving levels of residual sugar that are far too low for professional tasters to identify. Most white wines are also dry, but some can be off-dry or sweeter. This just means that they contain a touch more residual sugar and more fruit sweetness that many people are used to. But where it does get interesting is what information is not included on the label. For example, producers may or may not share information on if they used egg or dairy products, which are used for finding the wine to make them clearer and brighter. But they don't need to include these details. Similarly, producers don't have to share any information about their farming methods. If a wine is labeled as organic or biodynamic, then it means the wine was produced within those farming requirements, while other cheaper wines are often produced from very intensive farming methods. Additionally, wine labels have no requirements to include any information on other ingredients used, such as purple dye or oak chips that are used by some low-cost producers. Wine labels will neither have information on what yeast was used in the fermentation, nor tell you anything about how the wine was made. Was it made in a concrete tank from the 1970s or an expensive French oak barrel? We will just never know. More than 80 million metric tons of grapes are grown around the world each year, and in 2023, the winemaking industry produced 258 million hectoliters of wine. Have you ever wondered what happened to all of those leftover grape seeds? They are processed to make grapeseed oil, of course. See, in 2023, the global grapeseed oil extraction industry generated over $511 million, and it is projected to reach approximately $650 million by 2026. And grape products, including stems, are also used in the medical and cosmetics industries. It's fascinating how the economic impact of grapes extends beyond just revenue, since grapes are also closely tied to politics and trade agreements, with disputes over tariffs, regulations, and intellectual property rights often dominating international discussions. Now, let's delve into the language of grapes. Did you know that the word grape itself has its roots in Latin? It comes from the Old French word grape, which originally meant bunch of grapes. And let's not forget about all the colorful idioms and expressions involving grapes, from sour grapes to grapevine gossip. The phrase sour grapes originates from one of Aesop's fables in the late to mid 6th century BC, where a fox dismisses grapes it cannot reach as sour. See, Aesop was a former Greek slave, and these fables provided an opportunity for safely sharing stories verbally about morality and self-reflection among society, while being both a form of children's entertainment and also conveying important life lessons, since during that time period of Greek history, authoritarian rule often made free and open speech dangerous for the speaker. So, using storytelling, often depicting animals, served as a way in ancient times to highlight both the desired and undesired human behaviors, sort of like what to do or what not to do, which meant that Aesop's fables were important means of communication by which criticisms against the government could be expressed without fear of punishment, providing a way through which the weak and powerless could speak out against the strong and powerful. And Aesop's fables were even considered a valuable tool in speeches, which led Aristotle, who made important contributions at the time to logic, criticism, rhetoric, physics, biology, psychology, mathematics, metaphysics, ethics, and politics, to argue that in the absence of any concrete evidence for proving one's point, a fable equally supports one's argument. Aristotle, as you may know, is also known as the father of Western logic, since he was the first to develop a formal system for reasoning, leading to him developing theories of predication and syllogism. And even though he was a student of Plato for 20 years, he was more empirically minded than both Plato and Plato's teacher, Socrates, leading him to reject Plato's theory of forms. An insightful philosopher, rhetorician, and poet, Aristotle provided the foundational knowledge required to search for the means by which truth can be grasped through language. More than 2,000 years later, the phrase sour grapes has come to symbolize the human tendency to disparage things that are beyond our reach. It's amazing how deeply ingrained grapes are in our linguistic landscape. The cultivation and trade of grapes have often been intertwined with political dynamics which range from agricultural subsidies to trade tariffs. Government policies can have a significant impact on the grape industry, shaping everything from production practices to market access. Believe it or not, grapes have been at the center of political disputes throughout history. In the 19th century, for example, France and Spain fought over control of vineyards in the Pyrenees region, leading to what became known as the Great Wine Blithe. Finally, let's explore the cultural significance of grapes. Grapes have long been associated with fertility, abundance, and celebration in various cultures around the world. From the Greek god Dionysus, the god of wine, fertility, and ritual madness, to the biblical references of the vineyard as a symbol of prosperity. Grapes hold a special place in our cultural heritage. In fact, from the ancient vineyards of Mesopotamia to the sprawling estates of Europe, grapes have played a significant role in shaping human civilization. For example, in the Roman Empire, grapes and wine production reached new heights. See, the Romans were prolific wine drinkers. And they spread grape cultivation across their vast empire, from Italy to France to Spain, making grapes big business, with the global wine industry alone worth billions of dollars. From small family-owned vineyards to large commercial wineries, grapes play a vital role in economies around the world. And what about all of those grape leaves? Well, those are used as food wrappers, of course. See, grape leaves are used to wrap meat and rice dishes. They also are used in sauces, salads, and even sometimes made into tea. Now, fashion, art, and grapes may not seem connected, but grape motifs have appeared in fashion and artwork throughout history, including in home furniture and decor. From ancient Greek pottery to modern-day designer prints, grapes have been a symbol of abundance, fertility, and luxury. Now, let's pause for a moment and imagine a world without grapes. Wine juice? Or raisins? Picture a world without vineyards carpeting the hillsides, without the aroma of wine filling the air. Without the joy of biting into a plump, juicy grape. No wine to toast to special occasions. No grapes to snack on. No raisins in our ice creams or baked goods. It's a bleak image, isn't it? Imagine no grapeseed oil. Today, grapes are cultivated on every continent except Antarctica, with thousands of varieties, as mentioned before, which are grown for a variety of purposes. But beyond the sensory experience, consider the impact on our history, economy, politics, language, fashion, and culture that these humble fruits have brought into our lives. Without grapes, we lose a connection to our past, a source of livelihood for millions. a platform for political discourse, a rich tapestry of words and expressions, and a symbol of celebration and abundance. In short, life without grapes would be a lot less flavorful, both literally and metaphorically, since this little nutritious and refreshing fruit holds a special place in cultures around the world. Whether they are used in religious ceremonies, traditional cuisines, festive celebrations, grapes bring people together and enrich the tapestry of human culture. And with that, we've come to the end of this episode of Grapes Galore. I hope you've enjoyed our deep dive into the world of grapes. Join us next time as we explore another fascinating story of human culture. Until then, keep learning, laughing, and savoring the sweetness of life.